Esper, you don't sleep much. That's just a fact. It's been like that for years. You've seen many doctors. You've been prescribed and medicated, and not much has ever helped. But sometimes you do. There was another time on Her Royal Rose where you leaned against the window and had dozed off. This time, as you crawl into bed, expecting another night of restless turning, you feel your eyes drooping. A feeling of tiredness starts to fall over you. Dreams are not something you often look forward to, but you know this evening you're probably going to have them. Do you let yourself drift off?
I think the problem that allows Esper to submit to sleep, Esper's brain is overloaded with the swirling thoughts and the strange feelings and the uncertainty of processing the things that they have seen and heard and even done. Esper's brain is crying out so hard for a break from all of that thinking and processing that they can't help but fall asleep and just hope against all hope that this time sleep can be as rejuvenative to Esper as it is supposed to be to everybody.
You drift off, and just as quickly as you close your eyes, you feel yourself opening them again. And you're sitting in an opulent red armchair. There's a fireplace crackling on the side of the room, and a sizable number of people standing around, all mingling with one another. It's a mansion, this place. Stunning old paintings on the wall and new. Eloquent decorations. The smell of different spices and herbs permeate the air like a perfume. And many of these guests here are smoking, cutting that perfume with cigarette smoke. Sitting across from you, you see Nihilus von Stonen and Trevor. There's a coffee table between you with some hors d'oeuvres that have been served and glasses of alcohol for those who are drinking. You also see Dr. Glass across the room. She's standing near what looks to be a podium, one that would be used for announcements, and she's talking to one Lord Felix Royce. You also see Valadin, who stands near the fire, just a few steps away from Dr. Glass, almost out of the corner of his eye, keeping an eye on the conversation. Trevor, Nihilus, and Esper, you're here, bearing in mind that this is Esper's vision and not one that Trevor and Nihilus will remember when they wake up.
My first question is, does Esper know that they are dreaming?
You remember falling asleep in Cogsworth's hovel, and the feeling is very similar to that first dream you had on Her Royal Rose.
Esper is sort of both arms extended fully out to either side of the chair, gripping it tightly, and seems to sink down into it. Oh, not this again.
Hey, you okay? I mean, you look a little pale, looking over to Esper. If you're uneasy, I feel that way too sometimes. Just feel free to loosen the cogs with a little lubrication.
Whatever you do, whatever you drink, Trevor, I need you to pay attention. I need you to keep an eye out.
Esper says this as if it's to Trevor, but I think at this moment, Esper, you would realize that you're almost saying this to yourself.
Yes. They're trying to look for irregularities. They're trying to look for perhaps the holes that might be in the canvas that they are seeing.
Across the room, with Dr. Glass, Lord Felix Royce is wrapping up a conversation. Well, Dr. Glass, I could keep at it with these logical games all day, but you and I both know we don't have time for this. I've got an announcement to make. Why don't you go head back to your friends, and any bad blood between us will work out another time.
He had the gun. He had the man in the chair.
He goes over to the podium and takes his wine glass, holding it up over the room, and with a small spoon, he bangs the edge of the wine glass to make attention to himself. Everyone, I just want to say how grateful I am that you took the time to come to my housewarming party. There are people here from all walks of life. We have old colleagues. He looks over towards Dr. Glass. And new ones, as he looks to another side of the room. Notable families. Most notably, we have some representatives from the Van Thorns. And that's by no coincidence, because my announcement today is for them. Sam, would you please make your way out for me? And you see a man walk through a door to the left of the podium. You recognize this man, Esper. This is the man who was tied up. This is the man who you found looking desperate and in need in the cargo hold of her Royal Rose, with bottles of slow ether surrounding him. He steps out looking good in a suit, though the bags under his eyes simply can't be hidden. You can tell he's still in a similar situation. Now, I've referred to my friend here as Sam Thompson to everybody I've met. But what I've really been doing the last several years is bringing back someone close to the family. This here, Samuel Van Thorn. And there's a gasp among some in the room. Now, of course, some of you may not be aware, but Samuel is one of the direct descendants of the family. He disappeared years ago, and it turns out he had a problem. Got in with the wrong crowd. Wasn't good for him. Got lost. As a part of my emergence on the island of Crow Perch, I wanted to bring a gift to the Van Thorns. Now, by my estimations, Sam here is next in line. Let me be the first to say, I hope that the Van Thorns accept this very humble gift of mine. He steps away from the podium and goes through the door that Sam came through.
And Dr. Glass follows.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When Felix made a nod to new allies, I think was the term you might have used, or co-workers, whatever. Was Esper able to follow the gaze, and do they recognize the person if so?
You look across the room, and you see hair tied back tightly into a bun in a vest that is more professional than it is elegant. Roll history.
That is a natural one with a -2 for a -1.
All you can tell is that this is somebody of very high standing and likely among the Van Thorn family, given the context of this, who seems to be a scholar of some sort, or a historian, or a lawyer, like that sort of figure.
All right. The moment that Felix says or requests Dr. Glass to follow him, Esper is going to jump off the chair. Come on, we have to go. And she's gonna kind of jump a bit and wave her hand and try and get the attention of Valadin as well.
All right. Okay. You want me to follow?
She's not safe with him. She's not.
Suppose that's right. I came to this party to benefit from the liquor cabinet, but if, I'm still on the clock as it were, so I might as well go and see what the doc's all about.
Nihilus, on his third wine, sips it a bit and notices, "Ooh, are we moving?"
Yes, we have to go, Nihilus. Bring the wine, I don't care, we have to go.
Fine.
Mr. Valadin, please, motioning wildly with her hand for Valadin to follow.
From across the room, Valadin would give you a whir of the hand as he would continue to follow Dr. Glass, who I assume is moving towards a private conversation.
Dr. Glass walks through the door as Esper starts rousing everybody into action. And you run towards the door, Esper, leading the pack, as it were. And you approach. The door is unlocked as you turn the handle and look inside. And Dr. Glass, I'm sorry. Esper, as you open the door, you see Lord Felix Royce standing and wiping off a knife. The same knife that was given to Dr. Glass in an unfortunate circumstance on her royal rose. You see Dr. Glass slumped over in the armchair of the room, bleeding and unconscious. Oh, our hallway wanderer.
There's something about these dreams that when Esper knows that they are in one, they tend to be quiet at times and keep their eyes open, which they have to remind themselves to do sometimes, because they want to take in all of the information that they can. And for a moment, whether it is the shock or just knowing that this is information, Esper does that. But it melts into something different, and it begins to contort her face and tighten it like there are strings pulling her skin back taut. And her gaze is going to turn cold and steel as Esper regards Felix. You will not. And I will make sure of it if I have to, that you will not.
As you say that, you hear the slicing of knives behind you. And if you turn your head, you see that at least half the room was just assassinated by various people. You see bodies falling to the floor and red, at this point, starting to pool in places. As Lord Felix Royce, aloud, speaking through you to the other side of the room nearly. And that is my second gift. Enemies of the Van Thorns, dead, and only opportunity to come. Esper, your eyes quiver asleep as you feel yourself being pulled out of this dream, and you awaken the next morning in the hovel that is Cogsworth's place.
I think she awakes to see Dr. Glass looking down at her. It's the first thing Esper sees when they wake up.
Esper jumped awake with such a force.
Well, someone's awake.
Dr. Glass hands her a handkerchief.
Think.
Trouble sleeping, dear.
You could call it that. And only then they're going to bring their eyes to drag up to Dr. Glass. And Esper regards them for a moment as if Esper was looking back at their stabbed body just moments before, and there's this crestfallen wave across Esper's face before it steals back up again.
And I think Isadora knows that kind of face. Like, not exactly what you're reacting to or that it's about her, but I think she's on the track. I've talked to a lot of people about their dreams over the years. I don't dream myself, so I'm particularly intrigued by them. If you'd like to talk.
Didn't someone say yesterday the Van Thorns were involved with the police?
Right.
I don't remember if someone told us that. I'm pretty certain I assumed it. And I continue to.
It's a pretty safe assumption to make.
I don't think we can go to them. I don't think we can trust them.
You just came to this conclusion overnight?
Give her a moment.
Do you ever have a dream, Trevor, that feels very real, or maybe it doesn't even feel real, but something about it clings to you? You don't know why. You might even forget about it, but that part of the dream, it doesn't go away. It comes back. It comes back when you're awake.
I believe you believe that. Seeing as how deep into it you seem to be getting. I don't have many dreams to speak of. The ones that I do have, I tend to remember. Yeah, I suppose in that way you're right.
I mean, they come back when you're awake because they happen.
No, that don't happen to me.
Sometimes that happens to me.
Aha.
Well, I had a dream last night that I had made 3 more friends.
Did it come true?
Isn't that wonderful? See, I'm sure there's a reality somewhere.
As they're talking, Esper's going to reach out for Dr. Glass and kind of pull her closer. I saw him kill you. I saw you die.
And Dr. Glass had been going to stroke their hair, thinking this was a comfort moment. And then hears that, and the hand freezes.
And as she's lowering back again, she's going to just do one more quick word, and all it is Felix.
Wesley, my good man, esteemed DM,
Yes.
do you think that in the circle of whispers, Isadora encountered anyone with a power such as the one Esper just described? Dreams that come true. Or anyone who reminds her specifically of Esper. Because Dr. Glass is, quickly come to the conclusion, Esper is not exactly like her. They're not the same deal. But she knows Esper has some kind of deal.
Roll history with advantage.
21. Thank you, Whisper Self.
Abelard once said, in his many theories and studies, that those who lack the ability to dream, when a gift is taken away, it doesn't disappear. And it's possible that that ability being taken becomes a gift for someone else. And again, this is just so far in the realm of theory that Esper is gifted. But as far as others in the Circle of Whispers who had this gift or ability, none. Because however rare the circle of whispers might be, equally so would be those who might be affected by it.
Thank you. She remembers that, but meanwhile has a lot to process. Because she believes Esper completely.
Say, Valadin, do you dream?
No.
Well, alright.
Dr. Esper, perhaps you should rest more, particularly you, Esper. You were restless the entire night.
Esper, in the moment of slowly letting go of Dr. Glass and having the connected stare back and forth, is going to eventually, the shoulders will drop. Esper will slump back to their sleeping surface and then pull their small pack from the side where they had kind of used it as a pillow, kind of as a hugging device. She'll give a little shake of her head. I'm sorry, maybe I just need my medication for the day and it'll be good. And take out the belt with the dosages of the slow ether. Take it, give her a little tap tap, clear out the air bubbles from the bottom, bring it to their mouth, crush the top bead of glass so that the pressure lets the actual medication flow into Esper's mouth. And then they will just kind of sit back, try and breathe deeply. And whether it's the taking of the medication or the unease that everybody saw Esper in, they are trying to calm themselves and let the medication begin to take effect.
As you take this dosage, as always, a warm feeling flows down your esophagus, and everything in the world becomes just a little bit blurry, but in a good way. A little bit numb, but in a good way. Though notably, the effect feels just a little bit less intense than the last time.
And then that feel of it not quite being enough settles after the initial relief. And Esper's eyes are closed just a moment longer. And their hands quickly reach for the belt of medication, roll it back up, hesitate, hold it in a grip that's a little bit tight, and then shove it back into the pack.
Oh, one moment. Before you head off, and Cogsworth is going to go up to Valadin and, grab his shoulder and pull him to the corner of the room, lean in, a bit of a quieter conversation. Now, I'm going to miss you, Valadin.
Oh,
You sure you want to do this?
thank you, Cogsworth. I don't know how, I don't know why, but you're quite good at seeing beneath the surface of things. Perhaps that is why you're so talented, creating your gadgets. I'll try to be back, check in on you. I left you a list. Remember to brush your teeth. Don't sleep in the chair, sleep in the bed. I told Edmund to bring some food for this one, as he would gently hand the cat to Cogsworth. Should be good company while I'm away.
Yes. Oh, right. Don't forget this. And he reaches down into his pocket and takes a small device wrapped in a piece of cloth and hands it to you. You know what it is. And with that, Dr. Glass, Nihilus von Stonen, Valadin, Esper, and Trevor, you make your way out of the tavern, up the ladder, and back to the Whaler Hotel, where it's as if nothing's changed. The hotel is in full swing. Patrons come and go. The streets are back to being busy and the city is bustling. And as you get back, there is a carriage sitting in front of the hotel. Dr. Glass, you step in to the lobby where the doorman stops you. Just the person I was looking for. Dr. Isidore Glass, is that right?
Who's asking?
You have a carriage waiting for you. Apparently, a letter you sent has been attended to.
Oh, that is very efficient. I don't suppose there's a card or anything, just so I know for sure.
Well, if from Dr. Hypatia Singer of Blackthorn University.
Well, I wouldn't dare keep Dr. Singer waiting. Is it all right if I just run up to my room and grab a few things?
Of course, you're more than welcome. The carriage will be here for the next 30 minutes.
I'll be right back down. And she's really only delaying because she's not sure she'll be able to come back before the party, and she should see if there's a party dress up in the room.
As that's happening, Trevor is actually falling behind up to the room. So you think we're probably going to be going from the university to this party, right?
I don't know for certain, but most likely.
Right, okay.
I think if I come back here in between, I might lose my nerve.
Right. I hope they don't mind. I don't have much in the way of finery, so I might just show up as I is. I ain't gonna put much credence into dreams, right? But, like, what Esper says is true, and this party we're going to it's gonna be something. Especially for you.
She looks up at him and just looks into his eyes for a moment. Very seriously. Gravely. I think we should put a great deal of credence into Esperance's dreams.
All right.
It is disappointing. I think a part of me had convinced myself that he'd left me alive all of these times. Well, now it's clear that he only did that because he needed me for later.
Doesn't seem like much later.
I know. Very disturbing.
I mean, you demonstrated that you can handle yourself.
I don't really know what my plan is, but I know everything I've been working towards has led me here, so here I shall go.
Of course. I mean, you've never been a person who didn't know where she was going. I mean, if there's anyone I want to follow, it's someone who knows where they're going.
She smiles at him. She says, as a reminder, I tried to fire you and I almost cracked your skull, so don't say I didn't warn you to stay away from me.
Yeah. No, I remember. I ain't got much to do here, right? And I just... As soon as I set foot on land, I really stepped in it, so, let's say we're protecting each other for now.
I'd like that.
I ain't as good as I once was, but, you know, I'm as good once as I ever was, right? So...
We're rather alike in a certain way, aren't we, Trevor? Thank you for being here. Right after they get off the elevator and the elevator doors close and they're alone, she says, I don't think I've ever done that before. Kill someone. And then she walks into the suite and goes into her room. Then you hear her say, oh my goodness, I have no time. I need to change. I can't see her after decades looking like this. And then you just hear rummaging.
Down in the lobby, Esper, as you walk in and you see Dr. Glass get this important message and then scurry off to the elevator with Trevor, you also see an arms crossed and foot tapping Mr. Augie standing next to the front desk. Esper.
Yes?
Esper, your appointment, Esper. We're already late.
My appointment should have been canceled the moment the terms of it were not kept.
Two new men in white coats walk through the door and stand on opposite sides of the door. Esper, you're in the system now, and you need proper medical care and attention. Dr. Faust is to administer to it and give permission for your transfer to Dr. Neville something or other. I'm just the messenger, Esper.
I think if Valadin and Nihilus are nearby Esper still, like, it doesn't really even take much for perception to tell that she stiffens immediately to the point of trembling just a little bit. especially as these two men in these white coats come.
Are you all right with this, Esper? Is this what you want?
No. My one condition for going back into the system. My one wish, and I made them promise me. Not that, man.
Sorry to intrude, Mr. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. I'm Nihilus von Stolen, Inquisitor.
Augie Meridian.
Augie Meridian. Pleasure to make the acquaintance. I'm sorry to intrude, sir. Is there any chance that there's another doctor available?
Priest. Esper
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor. Esper has made a decision to go back into the medical system.
Mhm.
She's not well. Well, she is expected to see Dr. Faust. And after an initial consultation, another doctor could be considered. She's not a hostage, so if you'd like, you could go consult for her. I saw you walk in together, so...
You could attest, I think, to how well I'm managing.
Of course.
Yes. Mr. Paladin, would you like to come as well?
Of course. As long as that is not an issue.
All right, we'll get you both temporary permits to follow her as a guest, and you can attend the trip. Come on. And he walks by,
Excellent.
goes to the side of the hotel where you'll find another carriage. Nihilus, Esper, and Valadin. As you make your way into the carriage, you start upon the multi-hour journey to St. Seraphina's Hospital. And in the meantime, Dr. Glass and Trevor, you too make your way towards the College of the Arcane Void. So let's move right along to the flyover, an important transit mechanism from Port Hillcrest to the Citadel. It's a cable car that carries on one side the wealthy in glass encasements, and on the other cable system, the poor and the materials that come from the various production of the island. A windowless metal encasement that flies via cable car system. You are fortunate enough to be traveling in the wealthy section.
As Trevor is on the flyover, he is constantly looking down on the city underneath him, taken aback by it. He goes, I don't think I've ever seen a city like this before. Never seen a city like this, and I've never seen a city in this way. Just even at the Sovereign Sea Gate, when I went in, it was like I was an ant. Now here, all the ants are down there. He kind of puts his hand on the side of it, just goes, I think it's a little on the nose though. And he kind of rattles the bars. No matter how far you get, you can't get out. Still caged. Prettiest bars I ever seen though.
Yes, they try to make the bars pretty.
Just kind of,
Are you all right?
I don't know. I hope I will be soon. Goes back to where he stood beside you.
I've never seen it like this either. This or any city. When I came here as a girl, we didn't leave Port Hillcrest.
Near the Citadel, beside its massive towering exterior walls, you see a very opulent university built into the side of the mountain, separate from the city itself. It's very nearby, and as you land atop the final resting place of this cage, before you can step out to your second carriage, you look down on it. It's a beautiful old building.
It's strange that they let us see the journey. It really makes you realize how artificial distance can be. We got here so quickly, yet so many things are well out of reach.
Before exiting the flyover, Trevor just kind of takes a deep breath, kind of winces a little bit. He goes, hey, Doc.
Yes?
Just before we go to this university thing, do whatever you gotta do. I just want to thank you. When we was talking down in Cogsworth's Hole, you brought up the fact that we can't go to the guards with what we done. I know you probably had other things on your mind when you were bringing that up, but I let myself go for a bit, and I think I got us into a lot of trouble. So, now let me finish. I want you to know that if something happens to me, that if them guards take me away, I can't let that happen. I came to this place with you, and I plan to see whatever you got going on through. I plan on doing that. But just so you know, if they take me away, if they throw me in a hole, they may as well just be putting me to death. I can't let that happen. So, if they start surrounding us, don't worry about me, okay? I'm gonna make sure they don't get me. Just thought
Trevor,
you should know.
I thank you. I respect you a great deal, and I'll take you at your word, but I am going to have some questions for you. You don't have to answer them, but I'm sure you knew I was going to at least ask.
Yeah. I get it.
Not right now, though.
Yeah. Let's just, if all goes well here, I'll be glad to tell you everything.
The first step you take out of the flyover, the first thing you notice is a bit of a wretched smell from the city. It's dirty. There's smog that comes from the center. But the carriage you find is equally as ornate, and it takes you down a winding path to the university, where you're parked in front and you're able to step out after what is about 4.5 hours total this trip. The university is quite quiet and calm, and the front door has a beautiful picture of a stained glass umbrella.
And I think right before they get out of the last carriage, she grabs Trevor's wrist and says, Trevor, I'm going to ask you something, and you have to be honest. Does this frock coat look silly on me? It's practically white. I'm 61 years old. I must look ridiculous and dressed like a girl.
I'm afraid I got some sour news for you, miss. I think you do look like a girl. But...
He just gives his arm a little smack.
Hey, careful, I'm fragile.
Well, don't get fresh. Well, I don't have a change of clothes anyway besides the evening dress, so... This is how it will go.
I mean, folks walk out with 2 uniforms, right? It's how they're dressed and how they carry themselves, you know?
She always had a way of seeing right through me, but that will be fine. And you needn't worry about me with her, by the way. She's an old friend. Other than you, she's the closest I come to trusting a person on this island.
Yeah, me too.
Shall we?
Age before beauty.
You walk through the marbled halls of the university following the signs for different professors' rooms until you find that which denotes Dr. Hypatia Singer. It's not just an office, but an auditorium of sorts. As you open the door, you see wooden chairs in a tiered level system going all the way down to a chalkboard, a table, and a woman standing over a cadaver. And she looks up. Oh, Dora, so glad you got my carriage.
How could I resist an audience with the great Dr. Singer?
Please stop. Isidora, you two are just as great. I read your papers, you know that.
I hope you didn't read my book.
I wouldn't say if I did.
That's very discreet of you. This is my man Trevor. Trevor, this is Dr. Hypatia Singer.
How'd you do?
Be careful with her.
Trevor, very nice to meet you, Trevor. Dora, you're traveling with bodyguards now. I didn't think you the type.
Well, I'm very important now, and very special, so I need a little extra protection. She starts to walk down the stairs towards her. Very one step at a time, like step, feet meet, step, feet meet. Like it's a step and repeat.
Well, that is no surprise. You told me about it, but now that I see it in person, I'm so sorry about what happened to your leg. I don't... Anyway.
Oh, that's fine.
How have you been?
I've been well, better now, of course, but there's a great deal to tell you. It's just good to see you, that's all.
So good to see you as well. I practice medicine now here at Blackthorn University. It's been a long time, I know. But watch this. And she takes her hand and she runs it over the cadaver's chest, just slightly above. And you don't see a surgical operation happening or anything of skill and tact from a medical perspective like she always has. Instead, you see a little bit of black bubbling beneath her hand, and an incision that had been made across the chest begins to suture itself closed.
Hypatia, how? You never mentioned that you could... Is that what you're getting up to here?
Is there an issue?
No,
You know Blackthorn University is known for its study on the void?
That's why I'm here. It's just a little unfair, you becoming even more interesting at our age.
You'd be surprised. It's very promising. This magic, this arcane, it's more potent than anything that I've dabbled in.
Well, I'd love... How do you access it? You didn't do magic before, did you?
I mean, I could dabble in small cantrips. I spent a considerable amount of time studying with the other professors here.
Of course.
And it turns out that when applying skills, you can affect the magic's usefulness. This used to take me an hour. And you look down and you see the wound is sutured closed. Magically, it's like somebody has sizzled together the skin rather than with a thread and needle.
That's beautiful, Hypatia.
Yes. And you too can attend my class for 3 easy payments of 95 scrip each.
Well, you know I'd pay anything to be your student.
Enough with the flattery. What brings you to the island? I know you're not here for me.
Well, we got here earlier than expected. I had a few personal affairs planned, and then the saturation came extremely early, and we were rushed here. We and some people we met are staying in Port Hillcrest. We've been put up, and you know how I love trouble, and I just hoped to bend your ear about, the lay of the land and get some advice on where to go, social spots, things like that, while I'm waiting for the semester to start. If there's someplace we could talk privately.
This is as private as it gets, unless you mean your bodyguard. We could
No.
leave him.
I mean, I can leave you alone if you wish.
Trevor, I trust.
I mean,
I'm fine here. Anybody you trust, I of course will trust as well.
Only slightly disappointed. Dr. Glass says, yes, well, you can say absolutely anything in front of Trevor.
I won't keep it in my head none anyway, so don't worry about it.
Shall we sit? Are you finished with the...
Oh, yes. She takes the cloth and unfurls it over the body and goes over to her desk in the corner where there's 2 chairs in front of it.
Yes, well...
So, what brings you to this island, and what is it that you're looking to ask me about? Because I can tell you what I know.
Well, thank you again for getting me the lecturer spot here. I know that's not for a little bit. I'm excited to learn about all you do and to bore your students to tears with my own theories. As for being here early, I don't know if you've heard anything about this party that's happening tonight. A Lord Felix Royce?
Yes, actually, I got an invitation.
Do you know him?
I only know him through circles, not somebody I've discussed directly, or spoken to directly, that is. I know he's an up-and-coming sort of person who, well, word has it, is searching his way up the ladder.
Yes, I heard much talk about him from, clients and colleagues, and it was suggested I might be a welcome party crasher. I haven't quite made up my mind about that. I know he's very in with the Van Thorns, which I've heard many conflicting things about. I'm not sure how they would feel if, I'm a bit popular with the elite families in Sovereign Seagate, but I don't know if my little scandalous book gets me any cred here on Crowperch. Not that it should.
What's that look on your face, Dora? You look concerned.
Well, I am concerned. I've got so many concerns, Hypatia. I don't know that I want to burden you with them, though.
She leans over the table and puts her hand on your arm. It's no burden. Here, let me tell you what little I know. The Van Thorns are a family like any other. There's the Meridians, the Scalders. There was a king here once. You might have heard the name, King Thelonious. He's gone right now. He's not making decisions, and so the families have run amok. They are his council after all. But if you keep your nose to the ground and do what you came here for, don't turn over rocks and ask questions, there really isn't anything to be concerned about. Now, this other fellow, I can see on your face, there's something more to it. This Royce?
Yes. What if I already have turned over rocks and asked questions?
Well, you have 2 options. You ask great forgiveness of the powers that be, or you unfortunately align yourselves with their enemies. Power on this island is a balancing act.
Who are their enemies?
The 4 houses, they work in opposition with one another. House Vanthorn, House Scalder, House Meridiel, and House Dragar. They are all in opposition, though will work together. It's very political, very strategic. It's not something you'd want to be too entangled in. But simply to have protection, that's a good start.
She looks at Hypatia, really looks at her. Face she first saw more than 30 years ago and hasn't really seen since, maybe once. She says, "This is silly, me wasting your time, asking you things other people could tell me. This is what I really want to ask you about." And she takes out of her bag a map. And it's a map of Sablemere and the surrounding area with a big star drawn on it, connecting 5 points. Glave's Rest, a point in Witchvale in the forest, a point in the Black Nest Mountains, a point in the middle of the sea, and Crow Perch. She says, "Does this mean anything to you? Perchance."
She looks briefly towards the door, and you see a little twinkle of black energy from her finger as she waves it in the air and the door closes, all the way up at the top of the stairs. And she takes the map and pushes it to the center of the table. "Dora, I know sometimes you can be a dog with a bone, but you should know that this is a very heavy bone. Are you sure you want to go down this path, Dora?"
Look at me, Hypatia. I wouldn't be here if I weren't well down this path already. Dragged down this path. And don't get me wrong, I've made it all far, far worse myself. And if you want to kick me out of here right now and bar me from the university, that would be a very sane thing to do. But I promise you, I did not start this.
Very well. She takes out a quill and dips it in some red ink and circles each of the points on the map. They're theories, propositioned by other professors in the university, as to the origin of the island, as to why, several months out of the year, salt is so heavy in the ocean that it creates a natural barrier preventing almost any ship from passing, and why half the island as well is engulfed by it. There's a line that inches closer to the citadel every year. Why there's a mountain here in the middle of the ocean, so close to the shore it seems unnatural. There's a lot of questions. And surrounding all of it are some very special people. People with gifts. I don't begin to know anything more than that. I couldn't say. It's just what I've heard among the faculty. This... And she opens the drawer of the desk and takes out a small shard that looks almost obsidian, almost metallic, has this otherworldly sheen to it. This island holds more than a precious mineral for refining metals. Artifacts were the first sign, and later entire chambers found. The citadel sits atop of the largest subterranean system known anywhere in this part of the world, and the wealthiest, they find themselves closest to the bottom. Some say it's the Broom, being close to the mines and where all the wealth is created, but others know better. There's something more down there, and the powers that be will do anything to make sure they're the ones to uncover it. And the spire is right here. And she circles the center of all 5 points.
Dr. Glass just turns the head of her cane towards Hypatia, so she sees the black inlay in the handle. It's similar to the shard. Do you know the name Abelard Cook?
Ironically, I do. I have, as a part of my invitation, and she takes out the invitation to the event, points at the name Lord Felix Royce on it. In circles surrounding this man, by which I was invited, there are rumors that Abelard Cook and him were involved in some way. I only have heard this as whispers behind doors and conversations that I was not privy to. But I know that there's some kind of connection between them.
There was, yes. I'm sorry I lied to you about not knowing him, Felix. I think you could probably tell that right away, though.
He's dangerous. You wouldn't look so concerned. You, Dora, one of the bravest people I know.
He has my aunt, my patient. My Aunt Amelia is somewhere on this island. She's still alive, and she's being kept here somewhere. The asylum, probably.
She leans in. He has your family.
It's not the least of it, but it's the part that makes me the biggest fool. I need to learn more about things like this map. Abelard talked about consonance points, and it sounds like the people you've spoken to, the theorists, agree that Crow Perch is a consonance point. For what? Well, he had names for it. The Nexus. He called some of these people with gifts you mentioned Nexus Bound.
I've heard that before.
What? Where?
In the same breath, in the conversation I overheard, where they mentioned Abelard's name, Professor Thaldrin Wavebinder was the one who I spoke to the other day, and also the one I overheard. She, too, is going to be at the event.
Isadora just takes her by both her wrists and says, Hypatia, don't ask around for me, all right? Promise me that this is very dangerous. My aunt was one, the Nexus Bound. I had a patient who was one, and he disappeared as well. There's the fact that someone here even knows that term. I want to tell you everything, but I don't want to put you in danger. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have told you even this much.
Consider me a friend on the island.
I do.
And we'll leave it at that. For now. Just try to be careful, Dora. How did they put it? The shit runs deep.
I know. And I booked a first-class ticket. Straight in.
We should, at this moment, pan away from the conversation, zooming all the way out to the island of Crow Perch, and then back into another location on the island. All the way south of the Citadel, after having come off of the flyover and taken a carriage down another long path, a whole 6 hours later, Esper, Valadin, and Nihilus von Stonen, you arrive at a small dock by the water. You see a smaller island just off the coast with large walls and a tower. Along the way, you would have heard that this is Coldwater Prison House. But in between, there is a building that juts from the water, built right into the ocean beside it. And that's St. Seraphina's Hospital. A small ferry will take you from the coast to the hospital, where you disembark and are led by Augie through the halls of this asylum. Right this way, Esper.
Yes.
And on the way there, Nihilus would have made it such a pleasant journey by sharing so many fun facts about Kieran Stone. Did you know that, in fact, there are two capitals in there? One is the main one, a temporal one called a Delorium. There's also the religious capital, much more fortune than new. Oh, I have so many stories I could tell you.
Esper knows so much about Kieran Stone now.
Yes, Inquisitor, of course. This way, Esper. And he, again, isn't making eye contact with Nihilus as he makes his way upstairs, and you can hear that this isn't a hospital for those who are hurt or sick. It's a hospital for those who are mentally unwell. And out in the ocean here, there are rooms that you walk by where you hear muttering, screams, concerns. You see people being lorded around in vests that bind their arms and hands to their body. And after walking up the stairs several levels up, you get to the top floor. And there is a small office with a window that says Dr. Faust.
However long Augie is going to let that door stay shut, Esper is going to, after having walked through this hospital where, oddly, they seem to move more comfortably through, their eyes are going to close in front of this door and they're going to do their best to breathe in and out again. Their small hands are going to ball into fists and then release so that they can walk through the door with a straight face.
The door opens and you walk into the office and you see a white coat, a doctor's coat, with his arms crossed behind his back as he looks out of the window across the small gap in the ocean between the asylum and the prison. And as he turns around, Esper, long time no see.
It is good to see you again, Dr. Faust.
You actually mean that, Esper. I tend to doubt that. The last time we saw each other weren't on the best of terms, but I'm just glad you're back seeking help.
Well, I think we both know that healing isn't... what was that word? Linear? There's pains along the way, but without doubt, you helped me heal.
Wow. I'm so glad to hear that. I was in the process of transferring here to St. Seraphina's, and a file came across my desk, a notice. You're looking to transfer to Dr. Pettifogger?
I am.
The tincture salesman?
Yes.
Well, if my care was so great, why, coming back into the system, would you want to transfer?
I want to make it clear first that I'm going on this sort of journey again because, in part, this is the only way that they would let me. But I'm doing it for preventative measures, and I feel like it would be remiss of me not to ignore what you had done for me, Doctor, but to see if there is perhaps a happy space in between for me to be able to function. I want to make sure that I can remain well when I'm outside of the system.
Uh-huh.
And do it cleanly.
He closes his book with such vigor. And let me get this straight. You want to move on, but my doctoring has been more than sufficient for you, and you want to move to this new doctor, but you're thankful to me as your old doctor. Esper, I would say that's a bit of a split personality, a bit of a a concern, to be honest.
Do I...
And while you're more than welcome to be here as her support group, I do ask that you keep her doctoring to her doctor.
Oh, don't mind us. We're simply here to observe. As Baladin, with his arms crossed behind his back, would move towards the great window at the back of the room.
Well, Esper, I mean, that's a concern from your doctor.
The asylum had given me pass to do this. They'd allowed me to. They thought it was quite all right. I had only meant to explain that I wanted to make sure that I was as well equipped as I could be. And you certainly helped to set me up. There isn't going to be an equal to the service that you have done me for 11 years of my life. Nobody is going to have that much impact.
Very kind words from you, Esper. But I tend to think that maybe this duality of mind that you have in terms of your medical decisions is a bit concerning. Tell you what, let's take a few days under observation first.
Would these two have been with me for some time since I was even on the ship? I've known Mr. Nihilus now for several days. I'm sure that they could provide witness to my state.
Yes, but they're not trained psychologists, are they? Nihilus, are you a trained psychologist?
Oh, I am an inquisitor of
That's what I thought.
knowledge.
And Valadin, are you a trained psychologist?
No.
Yeah, so Esper, as I was saying, neither of these people are trained psychologists, so how could they possibly speak to the state of your mental well-being?
We are acquaintances who have spent quite a bit of time together, or the opinions of friends and family not relevant in your diagnostic.
I'm sure you don't mean it this way, but wouldn't Dr. Pettifogger also be able to make an assessment?
Do you know who Dr. Pettifogger is, Esper? Do you really know who this man is? Have you seen his advertisements selling tinctures that have absolutely no effect? You want to go to a snake oil salesman is what you want to do.
I wanted to go to somebody who was going to offer me new ways to make sure that I could be able to take care of myself.
If I understand correctly as well from someone being in the system, as they are free to explore their options, that is a viable way to proceed, is it not, Doctor?
You know, you're right. Any patient who is going in for a checkup, a physical, an eye exam, can choose their doctor. But it just happens to be that those who are not of stable state of mind are regarded as less able to do so. The system accommodates for their best medical outcome, not necessarily what their best wishes and desires are. If we indulge the wishes and desires of our patients here, they would be seeing doctors in all sorts of strange places. They would be doing all sorts of strange things. They can't mentally be able to look after their own medical well-being.
I have these two, and even more. I have met other people that I have spent my days around now.
Oh yeah? Are any of them doctors?
Yes.
Yes, in fact, I'm here also sporting, for that matter. I'm afraid the doctor whoself was not able to be present as there was urgent matters, but I happily shared the name. I'm sure you would know a famous person as such, Dr. Isadora Glass.
Glass. You know, she disappeared from the field. Apparently she's been helping housewives in the wealthy manors to get over their depression or whatever it is that a private psychologist does. She hasn't been practicing in research.
She would know.
If I do remember correctly, in the state of law, she still has a doctorism.
She would know if I'm being unstable, if I'm not being well for myself. She would still know, and she would still be, I think she would still have to report it.
Well, if you're being seen by a doctor, I would have to consult with them, because it would be necessary for me to make an assessment.
I will send them a message. I will find them, and I will tell them, and I'll bring them here. Yes, please do. I want to show you my best, Dr. Faust, and I want them to be able to come back into this room with me with glowing reviews.
All right. Well, he outstretches his arms in a facade of being open and comfortable with you. Well, Esper, that sounds like a swell idea. Let's have you please bring this doctor to me so I can assess her ability to take care of your well-being. However, you are still my patient for the time being. He reaches beneath the desk, unlocks a drawer, and pulls it open. You hear the rattling of bottles within, and he takes out 10 vials of slow ether that seem to be tinted just a little bit yellow.
All it takes is the sound of bottles clinking for Esper to break the facade that they had going on, and there is a shivering recoil from them before the mask comes back up immediately.
Esper, this is a prescription. I heard that you got one from your last doctor who brought you to me. Well, something like that. Anyway, here's some slow ether. It's my own formula. It'll keep you well until I get to meet your doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Faust.
You're welcome, Esper. So great to see you again. You're in good hands.
We will be back soon.
I'm sure you will. Here you are, and he holds it out to you.
Her hand reaches forward and in a smooth motion, she takes it, scoops it back out. There's no pause in the motion of her arm to get this set of files.
Well, I know it's been a long trip to get here, but it was medically necessary. He claps. All right. And the door opens, and you see 3 very large, burly medical assistants have been standing out there as if ready to come in, and they open and move away for you.
Much appreciated, Doctor. Till next time.
It was very good to see you again.
Till next time. And Inquisitor, I take it. If you ever need a checkup, just come to me. Dr. Faust.
Oh, I'll be sure to keep that in mind. I do appreciate it. I would love to spread the fate into a place like this as well.
Yes, and I would love to talk to a priest about his delusions of a higher power.
Oh, that's quite all right. The wonders themselves show action through belief.
Yes.
You have a beautiful view here in your office. Make sure to enjoy it again once we meet again.
You enjoy the rest of your night, Doctor. We should be on our way back before it gets too late.
Oh, it's by the way, the ferry has stopped running already. It's 2 a day, so you'll have to stay the night here. I hope you understand. Don't worry, you're not in the patients' rooms. We have housing for guests.
That is very grateful of you. Thank you.
Nurses, would you show them to their rooms, please? Yes. And they walk down the hall to lead you to your accommodations.
As they're being let down, Balandin is keeping an eye out for any rooms labeled pharmacy or storage.
I would say with certainty you would find both of those along the way. You could take a mental note of their location.
He will do that.
You get all the way down to 3 separate rooms side by side. They're almost indistinguishable from the rest of the rooms in this asylum. As the doors open, you see beds, very basic nightstands. Honestly, if it is for guests, it bears not much difference from the rest of the building. And since it's been already a very long session, perhaps we should end there for tonight.